And welcome back to another episode of the Efficiency Gap in Marketing. I'm Ben, and this is Alexandra. Last week, we talked about bottlenecks. This week, we're going to talk about streamlining. Okay, what was the problem? Now let's talk about how to fix it. Because you can't just talk about problems and just throw up your hands. You have to sit there and say, okay, how do we fix the problems? Because the problems could be people, it could be communications, it could be a process problem, it could be a procedure problem, it could be a variety of different things. But how do we fix it? How do we go about getting beyond the actual issues that we're having and making things more effective? So, Alexandra, I'm going to leave this to you.
Thanks, Ben, and it's great to be back again. I'm excited for this session too, actually, because this comes back to firstly identifying the problem, but also getting really clear on our priorities as well. Because it's all good and well to fix a problem, but are we fixing the right problem, challenge for the right reasons at the right time to hit the mark, or are we just fixing a problem for the sake of just fixing a problem? So again, it comes back to what it is that we're needing to achieve. What are our priorities? Do we have great processes and tools in place to be able to identify what our priorities are, our deliverables, so to speak, our milestones? Are we on trajectory? Are we hitting the mark? If not, why not? There are so many processes that could be put in place, but one of the things we haven't spoken about yet, which is really important in every business, is risk management, because that actually captures everything, right? So it's really important to continuously have those conversations with knowing and really pulling it apart and dissecting it and having mitigating processes in place as well, which will then eliminate, because you've already almost forecasted what, or you're sort of working ahead to see, well, what could happen, and if that happens, what do we have in place should that happen, and if it doesn't happen, what do we do then, so that you're always sort of moving and you're always hitting the mark. I think that's really important in every business, and we don't do that enough.
Yeah, I remember a phrase, and I wish I could remember who the author was. It says, if you don't care where you're going, any path will do.
Yeah.
If we don't understand, I always talk about going to the top of the mountain. We're going to the top of the mountain, but we're going there for a specific reason. Why are we going to the top of the mountain? What can we achieve when we get there that we can't achieve today? And what will that enable us to do? And
Absolutely.
You're right, risk management's all part of it. It says, okay, we're going to the top of the mountain. What happens if we don't make it?
Yeah.
So making sure that we have the right backpacks, making sure we have the right shoes, making sure we have enough water and food with us, making sure that we have the right team around us, making sure that we've scouted the way, that we have a good map, that we have a compass. And all those things are important. And I think that goes back to marketing, is that the compass is important. We need to sit there and say, what is the end goal? What are we trying to achieve in the end? Where do we want to take people? Why do we want to take them there? And what do we want them to do once they get there?
Absolutely. I think you mentioned in the last session, COVID taught us a lot, and COVID did teach us a lot. One of the things it did teach us is we don't risk manage enough for us to be able to hit the mark and achieve what it is that we want to achieve. And it really is important. Often when I do risk management with my clients, and even employees, often they say, oh, but that's dramatizing it, that's far-fetched. But is it? I mean, imagine before COVID, if we said, oh, there could be this outbreak, we would have said, no, there's no way in the world we're going to shut down all these businesses, and there's no way in the world we're going to stop transport. There's no way in the world we're going to stop travel. But look what happened, right? So it really highlights to me that it really matters to continuously risk manage our business, our brand, the way in which we present, the way in which we, turn up for our clients. It all comes back to our branding, our marketing, our communication,
That's right.
and then again, our credibility. So for me, it is a domino effect of everything, and everything sort of turns into the next thing and the next thing, and it all sort of mushes together in a way. And if we don't do one, then the other can't happen. It's those dependencies and interdependencies, So it really matters to continuously have these conversations to know, are our streamlines, are our processes working? If they're not, what can we do to fix them? But then also one of the things that I think we said we were going to sort of highlight today too was around time management. You know, that's really
Right.
important. Brings me back to the risk assessment, to the risk management. When are we doing things? For what purpose are we doing things? Are we hitting the right marks? Are we achieving what we want to achieve at the right time for the right reasons, and with the right people for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve? So it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
It is, and it's far more complex than most people give it credibility to.
Mm,
Is that people just sit there and say, okay, marketing. It says we need to communicate with our customers. It says no. Wait a second. It's far more than that, because it
it
says
is.
which customers, what are we communicating? Why are we communicating with? What happens if we fail? What
Mm,
happens if our marketing doesn't land? What if we do nothing?
mm,
You know, what if we do this versus that? What if we have 3 different options and we choose B instead of C? And it's a matter of being able to look at this from a variety of different angles, from 50,000 feet, looking at the chessboard and sit there going, okay, there are 22, 24 pieces on the chessboard. What happens when I move the pawn? Okay,
mm,
versus the rook, versus the queen, versus the knight. And be able to sit there and say that all these pieces are in play. And in business, these pieces are always in play.
yeah.
And they're constantly moving. And we, as leaders within the organization, need to realize that there are multiple factors happening multiple times, because there could be multiple programs happening simultaneously within an organization, all
Mm,
competing for the same marketing dollars.
yeah.
And we need to sit there and look at it. It says, how do we prioritize for time? How do we prioritize for budget? How do we prioritize for the focus of the sales team? How do we prioritize for the focus of the senior leadership team? How do we focus for the priority of the client? So we need to look at all of those things.
We do. And I love the analogy of chess because that's so right. You know, the thing is, I'm forever swatting everything. So I swat everything all of the time. And aside from all of that, it's also keeping your eye on the trends. What's happening outside of your own little space? Often when we're so busy doing stuff in our own space, we forget to just maybe, stick a head out of the window a little bit and say, what's happening out there? What's changing? What do I need to, am I on track? Am I keeping up with everything? Am I moving further along? So, again, it's that risk management approach to continuously improve what we're doing, but by just expanding our awareness a little bit and having a look outside of our box, and seeing, well, what's happening out there and checking out the trends. And that's what chess is all about, right? It's sort of mitigating the risk that could potentially happen. How can you move this way? Do you need to move this way, or should I move that way? And what happens if I move that way? And then looking 10 steps ahead.
That's right. And that all includes effective communication with a
Oh,
variety of different teams, both inside and outside the organization,
absolutely.
simultaneously.
Absolutely.
And being able to make sure that all your stakeholders are, if they're not being appeased, they're at least being listened to, and they're
Mm,
being understood, and they're being valued. And
yeah.
people understand why things are happening a certain way, so they don't feel blindsided.
Mm.
And that's
It's
a critical
behavior.
thing, because an entire project can be kiboshed because a certain team feels that they've been ignored.
Mm.
And that can kill an entire marketing effort. It can kill any effort within an organization.
For sure. It's that ability to be able to be agile and have the behavioral flexibility to move when you need to move, regardless of the way that you're moving. And to be there for not just, as you said, you raised a very, very good point for your internal stakeholders, and your internal customers, which are your people. They are your customers too.
Absolutely.
And if they're not happy, chances are that's going to ripple effect to your external customers, and they're not going to be happy. Because your internal people, your customers, they're the ones that are the face of the business, and they're the ones that are building and continuously building your brand through the way in which they're communicating, and that is marketing.
So do you have any final words of wisdom? Because I think that if we sit there and take a look at how do we streamline these processes, how do we bring it back to that? How do we streamline these processes to make sure that somebody is actually keeping an eye to make sure that as we go through these processes, we're not going to run into the bottlenecks. We're not going to run into the brick walls. We're not going to fall flat on our face.
Yeah. Words of wisdom with me for me is open communication and be open to feedback, because underneath there is where we can then have a look at, are things working, and if not, why not? But being okay to have those conversations and be okay to receive that feedback, be it from your internal teams or your external stakeholders. So for me, it all does come back to communication and the ability to receive feedback and then act on that feedback should you need.
And I'll add to that and say you need to be resilient and adaptable.
Absolutely.
And if you're
Indeed.
resilient and adaptable, you communicate effectively, and you're willing to sit there and go, I may be wrong. You know what? You're probably going to succeed. So I'm Ben. This is Alexandra. This is part 3, Streamlining for Success. Can't wait to see you next week, where we're going to talk about leadership in the marketing arena.
Thanks, Ben.